Joining me now with analysis, former Alaska Governor, Fox News contributor Sarah Palin. Governor, welcome back.
Hey, thanks so much. So your tease tells us that Fred Thompson's going to endorse somebody tonight. I wish you would give me a little bit of a hint there, because that's going to be some big news. He brings a different demographic as an audience to this whole primary process.
Well, you know, I know you haven't gotten to the point of endorsing yet, unless you want to make some news tonight. But maybe I'll go back where we started last week, and when I asked you if you were voting in Florida. Now you saw the results out of South Carolina. How would you vote in Florida?
Well, I still think that my endorsement probably isn't worth a hill of beans, nor maybe is my advice. But my advice to Florida voters would be to ask themselves which candidate is able to recapture that American exceptionalism that we all benefited from under Ronald Reagan. Who wants to go back to those days of success under Ronald Reagan, and who supported and was shaped by Ronald Reagan's economic policies, and who isn't? Remember, under Ronald Reagan, he was able to enact fiscal policies that really invigorated growth and reinvestment in domestic markets, and he decreased federal spending, decreased unemployment numbers and tax rates and inflation. So who is it who wants to recapture that? And you don't have to listen to me as an advisor on who perhaps that would be. Take, say, one of Ronald Reagan's economic gurus, Art Laffer. Hear what he has to say, as many of us quote Laffer's principle of the Laffer curve, how government can actually pay its obligations by reducing tax rates easier than what we see today with high tax rates. Who was shaped by an Art Laffer, and who wants to recapture that and go back to that, and who doesn't?
Well, the answer, Laffer, I believe, is supporting Gingrich, right?
Perhaps he is. I would ask, though, that voters pay close attention to that experience that one would have as a candidate, having served in official capacities in the past. What shaped them? We know what shaped Barack Obama. That's, you know, Bill Ayers, Jeremiah Wright, I think Saul Alinsky, and others throughout history who had more socialist ideas, big centralized government planning ideas that Barack Obama now throws down our throat. We know what shaped him. Now on the GOP side, who and what shaped our candidates? Cast your vote according to what that shaping was.
All right, but if I can go back, if I had to press you, and I don't want to, I'm not going to press you too hard. I'll just give you, if you had to decide, if you were in Florida, now that we've gone through Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, this election matters, because I think the future, the direction of the country, we have two dramatically different between a conservative vision and that of Barack Obama's. You said last time you wanted the race, the vetting to continue. If you had to cast your vote in Florida, who would it be?
I want that vetting to continue, Sean, and I'm not going to endorse tonight, because it's the candidate that has to produce. You know, you can have every endorsement in the world that you would ever dream of as a candidate, and it's not going to do you a whole lot of good if you can't produce, not only in the debates, but according to your experience, again, according to what your core foundations are, and according to the proof that you have, that you're not flip-flopping around like a halibut getting ready to be clubbed, but you have core convictions, you know what you're talking about, you have the experience and the record to prove it. That makes so much more of a difference, a positive difference, than any endorsement. Certainly an endorsement from me.
All right, in the next segment, I'm going to talk at length about how heated this has become. You took issue with the comments by Governor Christie when he was on the Meet the Press this weekend, and he said that Newt was an embarrassment at times to the party. I interviewed Newt on radio earlier today. His answer was, well, was I an embarrassment to the party when I helped lead the Gingrich Revolution and helped create a majority for the first time in 40 years, and welfare reform, was that an embarrassment? He went through a whole litany of answers. And you were critical of Governor Christie, too. Why are you critical? What was...
Because he played right into the leftist media's hands. The host of the show that Chris Christie was on wanted him to say that a GOP candidate was an embarrassment to the party, and Chris Christie just played right into it. And we're sick of the games that the media plays. We're sick of the media cramming down our throats who our candidate is going to be. We're independent voters, and despite that filter of the media, we're going to make up our own mind. So a comment like that from Chris Christie, who, I mean, who's one to throw throw stones. I and probably every other GOP, not high profile, but GOP player, I guess, has no doubt embarrassed the party, including Chris Christie, I'm sure, with some of his actions in the past, like taking a state-owned helicopter to his kid's ball game. You know, maybe some people thought that was kind of embarrassing. But I think that it was just unfortunate that Chris Christie threw that out there, because what he did was just produce an ad for the Obama campaign come general election time.
All right, we're going to come back. Governor, stay right there. We'll have more with you. I'll talk about the heated rhetoric on both sides when we get back. Also, Dick Morris is here tonight. But first, we continue with former Alaska Governor, Fox News contributor Sarah Palin. All right, since Saturday, Governor Romney has said the following about Newt. He's a failed leader. He is a D.C. insider. He had to resign in disgrace. He's an influence peddler, the ultimate D.C. insider. Do you think, tactically, strategically speaking, going that harsh against Newt, is that going to work? Does that have a chance of backfiring?
Of course it has a chance of backfiring, but, you know, in this very tumultuous and rough and tumble contested primary, every candidate should expect those tough shots thrown their way. And, you know, I don't like the negativity. A lot of people don't. And yet we know that it's not tiddlywinks. You know, everybody's going to have to face this. I do wish, though, that our candidates would remain focused on the main thing. And that is, of course, defeating Obama and understanding that the underemployment rate that's nearing 20%, the increase in energy prices, the closer we get to inflation, and all the negative things going on in our nation right now are, I believe, mostly caused by this continuation of Barack Obama's failed policies. Let's stay focused on that, and let's talk positively about what it is that each candidate can bring to the table in terms of solutions.
That doesn't sound particularly positive to me, and as a result this week, Mitt Romney is going to release his tax returns tomorrow. Newt Gingrich will release his contracts with Freddie Mac tomorrow. Is this a good thing in the end? I mean, get it out now, get it all out, and get it out early and let everybody see it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, with those tax returns, I know that the minute that I was called to run for VP with John McCain, Todd was called to start producing all of our financial records, all of our tax records, and we produce those right off the bat. I mean, that's just the name of the game. Whether it's a law or not, it is tradition. It's an expectation, that transparency for the electorate's benefit. Mitt Romney obviously now has taken kind of that pressure to heart, and now he's going to release his tax returns. Newt Gingrich's contract also with working with a bureaucracy. The more transparency, the better, because that in itself allows that contrast between what the GOP offers and how we want to benefit the electorate with as much information as possible, with that closed lack of transparency in the Obama administration and in his campaign that really has harmed our nation.
Governor, as we look at the results in South Carolina, I mean, they really dropped the kitchen sink on Newt just prior to this, and it seemed to backfire. As I look at the exit polls, rank-and-file Republicans went Gingrich. Those who support the Tea Party or are neutral towards the Tea Party, men and women, married women by 10 points, conservative, very conservative, somewhat conservative, almost every income group, every age group except those under 30. The majority of them went to Ron Paul. He won the evangelical Christian vote by a 2-to-1 margin, 44 to 22%. And on the issue of electability, that was an area that I think surprised a lot of people, where Newt Gingrich won there as well, 51 to 37%. What does this mean? How do we interpret these results? South Carolina is one primary, but it's the latest primary.
The latest primary, and in South Carolina there are a lot of independent Tea Party patriots who were reached by Newt Gingrich, then, who won in South Carolina. Mitt Romney, you know, throwing a little bit of advice for what it's worth at him, is to effectively reach out to those Tea Party independent patriots out there who know that we're taxed enough already and know that government's got to get off our back in order for the private sector to grow and thrive and prosper. Well, Mitt Romney needs to more effectively reach out to these independents and not just assume that the media is going to carry his water and the GOP machine, that establishment, is going to carry his water, and tell us who it is that we should vote for. No, we're much more independent than that. We'll do our own homework, and we do expect, though, a candidate to give some credence to that Tea Party movement that was so instrumental, I believe, in that South Carolina victory for Newt Gingrich.
Governor, I know you said earlier that you don't think your endorsement's important. At some point, are you going to weigh in and tell people who you think you're going to vote for?
I probably will, even though perhaps it'll contradict what I just said about my endorsement, me acknowledging that it's not worth a hill of beans, but just because people like you, Sean, keep bugging me about it, so I'm sure that I will kowtow and I will let you know.
You used to be a journalist. You had to do this once in your life. Come on. Give me a hard time.
Yeah, I'd be doing the same doggone thing, so you're doing great, and at some point I will, Sean. I'll let you know.
All right, just let me know first. That's all I ask for. That's not a lot. Governor, good to see you. Thanks for being with us.